Hi, and welcome to the LavaCast. I'm your host, Lava Charm. Why is it called the LavaCast? Because I'm broadcasting from a live volcano. Not really. Did you like that drum sound? I recorded that myself, banging a drum. It's an old drum in my family. We have it's wooden, it's hand painted, and it's made with a deer skin. There's a turtle painted on the top of it, and we bang that shit because something about my great grandma was Indian, Cherokee, or some shit like that. I think Hawaiians, Polynesian, Samoan. That's the thing. They do. They pray to the volcano gods or whatever, because Hawaii. That's how. Like some of those, that's how the islands were made, from volcanoes coming up through the earth and forming islands and shit. Have you ever seen a Samoan warrior dance? I've seen one before. When I was in the Marine Corps on an aircraft carrier, they put together a whole ceremony. And there was like a big dance and lots of noises, drum bangs, and people just like shouting and this weird dance. It was pretty interesting. I remember it was on an aircraft carrier, the Bahama Richard, and it wasn't like a full size. It was kind of a half size. I'll tell you what was really, really cool is those, what was it, F-18s? I don't remember what kind of aircraft they had, what kind of jets they had, but, yeah, I think they were F-18s taking off from that fucking aircraft carrier. Was cool as shit. God damn. It's super fucking cool. And, being on the boat was, its own experience, like, floating around in just, like, the hugest body of water, the oceans. That thing rocks back and forth. You really do have to get your sea legs, and at some point, at the very beginning, you really notice the rocking, and then you get much stronger, and it doesn't become as apparent, but it feels fine until like you notice there's another ship right next to you, and then you see the difference in the up and down motions, and you're like, God damn, we really are like really just flowing up and down like a lot. We never went through any storms or any shit like that. Like, I never experienced that. I think, they have modern technology to stay away from the storms, but there was certain places where you could smoke on the ship, and they spent a lot of time closing those down, which was bullshit. And it was also, in the very beginning, it was very easy to get lost through the corridors and shit through the ship. Walking around trying to figure out where the fuck you are. It was hard. It was a goddamn maze. It was a goddamn labyrinth of just hallways and corridors, and you get lost, and some days they would decide to clean some, and they close them down. You have to go another direction. You're like, I don't know where the fuck I am right now. Like, the aircraft carrier I was on, it wasn't like a full aircraft carrier, but it was so goddamn huge to me. I remember going to the very back of the ship, and then you can look at the back of the ship, and you can see the wake of the ship, what we left behind, the ripples in the ocean. And I remember recently I learned a word called sillage. And sillage is basically that same thing. A boat leaves behind the wake where, like, if it's not there, but you can still see the ripples it left behind in the water after it left. Sillage is kind of the same thing, but with a smell, mostly a perfume a woman leaves behind. So you can be like, I love her sillage, the smell she leaves behind after she passes through. Are you familiar with the Bible? Are you religious? I am not. But I don't know if I'd say I'm an atheist. I would more define myself as an existentialist. As in, there is no meaning to any of it. We're born without an essence. But we can define meaning and define what we care about, but overall there is no reason for any of it. It's just random occurrences. And in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earths, right? He worked for 6 days or whatever. On the seventh day, he rested. But actually, he did not rest on the seventh day. Being the egotistical maniac that I am, God kept working. And in his depravity, I messed that up completely. In his exhaustion, he created depravities. Because when you're on a roll, you don't quit until you realize you should have quit hours ago. It's just like when you're gambling and you're doing good and you're up, but you're really fucking high off of the gamble. And you keep going, and before you knew it, all that money you made, you just lost again, and you're like, ooh, fuck, I need to quit. That's what really happened. But if you can ask God, if you had the opportunity to ask God any question, what would that be? You can't, and I advise you don't ask him why we're here, because you would most likely be very disappointed and then end up killing yourself. Because it's not good, and there's not a good reason. But I was thinking, I would ask him, maybe there was this adult store I was going to, porn store, if you'd like, to look for a new butt plug and dildos and stuff. And there's this goddamn lady there that's probably the owner, and every time, I swear to God, she bothers me. Like, how can I help? Can I help you find something? Like, no. Get away from me. Let me browse these dicks by myself, please. It's already, like, pretty awkward for me to do this. And then you're coming up on me and asking me all these questions. Like, no. This is not the time for that. Please stop. The main thing I remember, oh my God, she, whatever she had just eaten, I think I remember she was eating something, and she came over and she tried to talk to me, and I could just smell it on her breath, and I was like, God damn it, get away from me. Was it really garlicky? I'm thinking it was really garlicky. Like, no, just let me browse these lubes alone. Quit recommending stuff. God damn it. Or maybe I would ask God, like, God, why do I like feet so much? They're so goddamn pretty. Why did you make it like that? Why do I like feet? Actually, I think maybe the number one question I would ask him is, when the fuck are we going to be able to buy and afford our own sex robots? How sweet would that be, to have your own sex robot? To do whatever we want at any time, ever? And also they would be able to cook and clean, of course. Advanced technology is what the fuck I'm talking about. Do you remember the sci-fi show Tripping the Rift? It was an animated show on a spaceship. I'm not exactly sure what they did. Maybe they smuggled cargo or whatever. But the captain had his own sex robot. And it had its own personality and stuff, and it would help with the missions and stuff. But, like at the end of every episode, they would end up, he'd take the robot with him back to his room or whatever and fuck it. And he could do whatever he wanted with it. It was his robot. He could, like, slap his ass and grab her tits, but she could also speak her mind. But, oh, man, how great would that be to have your own robot like that? That'd be the fucking shit. That's what I'm talking about. I'd pay for that. I can't help but want to mention 50 Shades of Grey, that movie, or the book. Did you watch that movie? I watched that movie, and I couldn't roll my eyes hard enough. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, it was so terrible. I didn't watch the new one, but I'm pretty sure they got it completely fucking wrong. That guy, that millionaire in charge of shit, he would not want to be the dominant one in the bedroom. He would want to be the submissive one. He spends his entire time making decisions, being in control, in the bedroom to get off. He would not want to be in control. I think he said the whole thing was he wanted to punish his mother, but that's just not right. That's not how the psychology works. When you're raised and you're born or whatever, you look for this same type of love. And his mom, if his mom was really abusive and shit, you would look for that same type. You would learn, right? Because we become who we are by mimicking the people around of us, and he would want that would be the only love that he would experience. So he would want that similar thing. So he would want someone to dominate him. It wouldn't be the other way around. Like a lot of these Chinese powerful businessmen, they're into being submissive little bitches because they spend time in charge of things, being billionaires and telling everyone what to do. You couldn't get off by doing that, by keep doing that. The best way to get off would be by having all of your power taken away. And I know that when I grew up, my parents were pretty strict, especially my dad. So in a certain aspect, I kind of have dad issues, and I like girls more. And I really want them to dominate me. So I understand how that feels. It was always about being a good listener and being loyal. And I guess maybe that's why I really love fucking girls' feet. Is because what better way to show how loyal you are to them than to just worship their feet? To rub them and kiss them and suck on them. Or, I mean, if she had a long, hard day, to smell them. That's great. What is it about it that I like that scent so much? Is most likely due to some sort of pheromone that I'm picking up that I just drives me fucking crazy. They're coming out with a fucking new live action Winnie the Pooh movie, and I'm pretty sure Eeyore is in BDSM. What's my proof about this? It's because, he keeps losing his tail, and you have to pin the tail on. You have to pin it on. He likes that pain. He digs it. He wants it. It's also why I really like getting tattooed. I get tattooed maybe twice a year, like whenever I can. I try not to overdo it, but people are like, doesn't that shit hurt? I'm like, yeah, it hurts, but you don't understand. It's like, it's kind of like a really good hurt, and then I have this sweet thing going on. The last tat I got was exactly 4 weeks ago. It was like 4 weeks ago, so that's like a month. And I got a castle in the sky. It's a floating castle. There's clouds, and then there's a castle, and it's pretty goddamn dope. And I really feel like it emphasizes my isolation and existentialism. Do you know what anguish is? Anguish comes from the fear the future self can't handle because of our freedom. Our unlimited freedom. So that means that we choose everything we do at every moment. And anguish is you thinking that you cannot handle shit in the future. Hey, does your cat get hair all over your couch? Well, that's why they call it furniture. Stupid. I have to say that another big influence on me to podcast is Greg Proops from Whose Line Is It Anyway? Have you ever watched Whose Line? That show is great. The improv, pretty freaking sweet. And his podcast is amazing. But I have to go. So thanks for listening. I love you and peace out.